Welcome to the Fish House Nation podcast. We're still at the St. Paul Ice Show, last day of the show, and we're coming in and talking to some great people. Today we got Tim Zwieg from Ion Augers. You're a ProStaffer with Ion and Eskimo, and we appreciate you coming on, Tim.
Thank you.
Today we want to talk to you about scouting from home. This is something that you do quite a bit to figure out where you're going to go fishing. Tell us kind of about your process and how you prepare to go ice fishing before you even leave your house.
So it's something I do a lot of. I spend a lot of time on my phone. I've got an app on my phone. I also have it on my computer, but it's Navionics Lake Map app. And I use that to look at different lakes. What it shows me is it shows me all the different structure on the lake. I can look at the lake. I can see where the boat accesses are. I can see what the lake looks like for structure. I can look at humps. I can look at holes. I can look at underwater points. And that gives me a very clear picture of what the lake's going to look like before I ever have to wet a line. I spend a lot of time looking at that, different lakes, whether it's lakes I'm going to fish or not. It's just a very useful application.
And when you're ice fishing, what are you generally targeting, Tim?
I'm a walleye guy, so I target walleyes. I'm looking at underwater humps or holes or underwater points, but I'm primarily a walleye guy. I do chase panfish now and again, but my love is chasing the walleyes.
Yeah, so what are you looking for structure when you're looking at these maps?
So I'm going to look at underwater humps, or if I fish Mille Lacs Lake, which I spend a lot of time on, there's lots of mud flats out there. I'll target those because the fish are going to hang on and off the edges of the mud flats. Sometimes they'll be up on top, but it just shows me a great picture of what the lake looks like down there.
Yeah, there's a lot of that type of structure in some of the lakes you're looking at. A lot of stuff to the kind of the newbie eye may look the same as others. What distinctive features of these things are you picking out? What are you going, okay, this mud flat may be better than another mud flat? How are you determining that?
So I like the real quick drop, the real steep drop. It might go from 25 foot on top down to 30 feet on the bottom of the mud flat. Not a real gradual, takes 300 yards or more to drop off from that 25 to 30 feet. I like the real steep break lines.
And when you're finding those break lines and you're building your plan, how do you put that plan together from your kitchen table to go out there?
So I'll do a number of different things besides looking at the Navionics app. Is I'll pull up the DNR website because they've got stocking reports on the different lakes, and they also have their test nets, what kind of fish are in there, and I'll look at that too before I ever hit the water. I'll look at the DNR site and see what have they been pulling out of there in their test nets, and they have a list of how many fish that they pull out per net, and then it compares it to other local lakes too. So many times I'll take a lake that I fish frequently and I know the lake, and I'll look at its test nets, then I'll look at a new lake and compare the test nets. Like, whoa, here's an example of a lake that it has a few walleyes in it. I know what I've caught in there. Well, here's this lake 5 miles down the road that I've never fished, and look at the test nets it's pulling out of there. And then it has size ranges, number of fish in each size range as well. So it might tell you, oh, there's hundreds of fish in the under 6-inch range, and there's a few fish over 25 inches and tons of, say, 14 to 18 inch fish. And it's like, those are great eaters. So I'll go target that lake, and, so I know what the DNR is pulling out of there. It's got a date on how old that test net was. And then I'll start looking at the structure to see what I want to target for that lake.
How do you get that data that you collect and convert it into a real-time plan for when you get on the ice?
So once I decide what lake I'm going for, I've seen what kind of minnows are in there, what kind of forage fish are in there. So I have a general idea of what I want to take for bait, what I'm going to use. Are we going to go with shiners? Are we going to use fatheads? What are we going to use? Then I get out to the lake and I've assessed where I think my starting point is going to be. Okay, it's morning, it's dark time, fish are going to be up shallow. I'm going to go on the top side of the hump and start targeting up there. They're going to slide deeper as the day progresses and the sun comes up, but I'm going to start up high. I have a good idea of where I want to go because I've been looking at my Navionics app, and I've got some GPS points where my good starting point are, and actually I have a portable GPS as well. Some people just use their phones. I still use my portable GPS. So once I figured out where I want to go, I'm going to punch that into my GPS that I take with me, whether I'm in my truck or on a snowmobile or on my my Ranger side-by-side as well, I'll know where I'm going to go and what my starting point is. So then I'm going to get, once I get out to the lake, I'm going to drill some holes and see what I'm looking for. I already know that the spot I'm in is the spot I was targeting. This is the top of the hump or this is the bottom of the hump. So I know that already. But then I'm going to start drilling some holes, see if I can mark some fish, see what's down there.
What happens if you get there, you're on the spot that you think is right, and what you hoped was there isn't there?
Well, a lot of times that happens. What you hoped was there, it's not what you thought it was going to be. Maybe there's nothing there. Maybe it's too much mud. Maybe the water's dirty. Then I'm going to move around a little bit. I never have just a single spot I'm going to go to. I might target a number of underwater humps or a number of underwater points. So I have in the back of my mind, okay, over here was this spot that I thought looked good. I've got that spot over there that looked good. I've got maybe a midday deep water spot I'm interested in, and I've got my morning and evening spots that are shallower that I'm going to be interested in. And then there's the whole rock thing too. I'll target rock humps and rocks and boulders depending on how big the rocks are in the lake.
Yeah, so you've got a plan A, you got a plan B, you got a plan C?
Yeah.
How far does it go?
It depends. I mean, you can get down to plan D, E, and F. Sometimes you hit it just right. You figured it all out, and your number one spot produces, and you can sit there and you can fish all day and do what you thought you wanted to do and what you hoped to do, and you can fish all day and catch fish. Other times you got to move to different spots, different plans.
Yeah, so when you're out there walleye fishing and the fish are moving throughout the day, do you go in there with a plan for, okay, this is where I'm going to go for morning, this is where I'm going to go afternoon, this is where I'm going to go in the evening? How do you kind of break that up and decide how and where you're going to fish throughout the day?
Well, like I said, I'll start shallow in the morning and I'll end shallow in the evening. And as the day progresses and the sun comes up and the fish may quit biting, I'm going to move to the deeper spots where, because the walleye come up and they feel like they can target they've got very good eyesight. They can target the prey fish, which kind of hide out in the shallow water, and the walleyes can prey on them in the dark of the day. Then as the sun comes up, I'm going to target the deeper water.
Awesome. Tim, when you do this, is this something where you drive by a lake and go, oh, I wonder what that is? Or, and I think the answer is going to be both here, but maybe give me some examples of both, where you drive by a lake and go, I wonder what that's all about, or maybe you're just sitting in the chair one night and looking and go, boy, this is a place that I should go.
That's a double-edged sword. Sometimes you talk to your buddies and, they might share what they're doing, they might not. They're not going to give you, depends on how good a buddy you are, if they're going to give you the spot or maybe they'll tell you the lake. But I've done both. I've had a buddy say, we're really hammering fish out here. They may not give you a lot of information, but they just say, we're really hammering the fish here. So then, I might pull up the lake map. I'll pull out the DNR test net. There's other times where there's a lake I used to drive by on the way to my cabin all the time. I drove by it every weekend, on the way up, on the way back, and I'd see boats there, but I had never fished it. So one day out of the blue, I pulled up the DNR test net, and it's like, holy buckets, look at the number of walleyes that are in that lake, and then start researching it that way. There's another thing I've used. We all get Outdoor News, and they have, every week, they have the Lake of the Week, and they'll have a multi-paragraph report on that lake and what's going on in that lake, and they've got a very basic map of the lake and what the structure is. And sometimes if it's a lake that I'll read the report and it's like, well, that kind of interests me, I'll do some more research on that and kind of say, okay, is that a lake I want to go visit, or what do I want to do there?
Sure. How many new lakes a season do you think that you explore?
I bet I could get in the 15 category.
Really?
15 different lakes that we go. There's been weekends when we're out ice fishing and we might hit 3 different lakes just because, the first one didn't pan out. We got down to plan D, E, and F and we weren't interested. So we went over to this other lake and, did some poking around.
So you make a habit of this. This is something that you do.
I do it fairly often. I'm not going to say I'm an every weekend guy.
Right. But I mean, you make a habit of going out and exploring new waters. You're not the guy that goes and, this is my spot and this is where I'm going all the time.
That's right. I make a habit of checking out new lakes.
And what's that like for you? I mean, how do you, why does that make you tick?
Well, it makes you tick because it's like, all right, I researched the lake. However I did the research, I did what I wanted to do. I put together a plan, I got out to the lake, and the plan came together, and that's awesome. That's a feel good. Yep, I can do it. I can figure out this lake, and I can get out there, and I can do what I set my mind to do, and it happened. There's times it doesn't happen, but the big feel good is I put the plan together, I went out, and I was able to catch the fish.
Yeah, so what would your advice be to someone who wants to start doing this and getting out and kind of expanding their horizons?
Well, I think if you want to use the Navionics app, it's a great app. I think it runs about $20 or $25. I've had it on my phone for years. I've had it on a number of different phones. And download that app on your phone, play with it, get familiar with it, because you can use it to drop waypoints and whatnot. You can drop tracks and stuff. You can even set the water depths to different colors. They've come that far lately where they can change the depth colors, and start playing with that app, and then get on your DNR website and see what they have for test nets, just simple stuff. And that's before you ever wet a line, before you ever hit the bait shop to say, hey, what's happening up here on Lake X?
Tell me something about some of your tools that you're using when you're on the ice. What are some of your your go-to gadgets for ice fishing?
So my go-to gadgets, I use a Vexlar. I've got an FLX28. I like that. I used to use a Hummingbird, and I really liked the Bird because it was the size of the screen. I used a Hummingbird 55 flasher. Had a very large screen. I wear glasses, and having that large screen was very nice. I did switch to the Vexlar here a few years ago. I like the zoom capabilities on that. And then I do have a camera. I have an AquaView camera that fits in my pocket that I'll drop down occasionally to see, what is down there. Okay, I'm marking fish. How come I'm not catching them? What are they? Oh, they're suckers, or they're carp. What are they? What's down there? How come these fish aren't biting? And also I'll use that camera to see what the structure really is. Is it really a soft muddy bottom, or what is it?
Tim, is there something that you haven't got a chance to share I haven't asked you about that you think is important?
Well, obviously I'm on the Eskimo Ion ProStaff. I love my Ion ice auger. I've been using the Ion X for several years now. It's lightweight. I can drag it out on the ice, and I can drill many holes with it. And it weighs 22 pounds. I can drill as many holes as I want and not have a sore back from lugging around my 30-pound auger. Now, something new this year that I'm really excited to get on the water or on the ice is the Ion G2 auger, which comes in at 17 pounds. I'm not getting any younger, and the augers are not getting any lighter for me. So I'm really excited to use this Ion G2 that weighs 17 pounds. It should just scream through the ice.
Awesome. Good luck out on the water, and I think the way you're fishing is really cool. Getting out there and trying out some new places, seeing some different faces, seeing some different fish, different points, different rock ledges, different mud flats. That's awesome.
Sounds good.
Awesome, Tim. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time.